Good morning, everyone. I love to be back. I'll try it again. I did get one response. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I feel like I'm back in the classroom again. It's a great feeling to be in a room and actually have people literally in front of you, not just the top half of their bodies or not just their face, but to see people. I know you're still masked up, and I appreciate that. Dr. Dale Goldie's going to come up in just a minute and go over the house rules and stuff. But I get the privilege of just getting to come in and say welcome, and we're so glad you're here at GREC this morning. My name is Bart Cleaner. I'm the executive director here at GREC. A lot of our team members here in the house today, and a lot of you all from our 45 GREC districts in the house today for our STEM festival, the first of what we hope will be many annual STEM festivals to come. But we're so glad that you're here in person and have joined us this morning for what's going to be a great day of learning and also just a great day of fellowship. I've talked to several of you in the last 10 minutes, and a lot of you are just like, man, I'm just glad to see people. Glad to see my friends from my district, glad to see my friends from other districts. I know there's going to be some great presentations today. So again, welcome, and we're glad you're here at the Green River Regional Educational Cooperative. I always try to drop the name of the acronym in. It took me like 2 months to figure out how to spell GREC when I got here. I love GREC, and I was like, all right, does it have 2 R's? Does it have 2 E's? Are there 2 C's in it? Like, how exactly does it fit together? So we are the Green River Regional Educational Cooperative, and we're so glad you're here to partake in learning and fellowship today. With that, I'm turning it over to Dr. Dale. Thanks.
Thank you, Bart. Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to GREC's first STEM Fest. My name is Dale Goldie, and I work with Ms. Terry Stice and Mrs. Brenda Duval to coordinate the efforts of the STEM Computer Science Grant that GREC was awarded back in October of 2019. For our Share-a-thon event today, we have an awesome lineup of sessions led by our STEM teacher leaders who are involved in the work of the STEM Computer Science Grant. We're so thankful to have our STEM leaders here to share how they enhance STEM learning with their students. And also, I want to give a special recognition to the GREC staff members involved with our event today, because without their efforts, this could not be possible. GREC asks that you please keep your mask on for the duration of the event and practice social distancing. And during the transition periods in between sessions, as you enter a new room, you might notice that your table number is in a downward position flat on the table. Just wait until a GREC staff member cleans that table and puts the table number stand in the upright position, and that signals that it's okay to sit down. All right, so most of our sessions today are led by secondary STEM teachers, but and also I want to mention for those that are tweeters, right, for social media, if you'd like to hashtag GREC Connect through our event today as you take pictures, please do so. And now I'll go into this part. For most of our sessions today, they're led by secondary teachers, but we have such a treat. We have Mrs. Allison Bemis, who is a preschool consultant, joining us and offering an elementary focus session. And that will take place this afternoon. I think she wants to come up here and say a few words about that.
I'm not used to this trade-off now. I have so much anxiety about when I am fully vaccinated. So if you see me mess up today, hopefully that gives you peace of mind. It's just exciting to be here and see people, like Bart said, in person. When I was getting ready this morning, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to try to curl the back of my hair. I don't know if I remember how to do that. So I do work in early childhood education. I work with preschool through 6th grade. And I was just so excited when Terry sent the email and invited me to be here with you today. But we know that my session is a little bit of an outlier. I'll be doing 2 sessions in the afternoon, and I'm in room 1A and 1B. So I just have a question. Raise your hand if you work with secondary teachers or you are a secondary teacher. Okay. Raise your hand if you work with elementary. Okay. Raise your hand if you work in preschool. Okay. Yeah, we have a few. I wanted to share that, and I also, when Dale and I were talking, I wanted to be sure, this is where I have to be sure not come to you, because I want to come to your face, but I have a mask off, I can't. So I wanted to be sure and make it clear to everyone that my session, although it is what we are, when you come to that room, you're going to pretend like you're a kindergartner, okay, and you're exploring science for the first time. We're going to sing, and we're going to explore buoyancy. Okay, and then talk about sink and float. We're gonna build boats. We're gonna do fun things. So I have had a lot of secondary teachers or people that are administrators that used to be secondary come to my sessions, and they'll say a couple of things. They'll say, wow, these are just thinking strategies, because that's what we're doing. We're doing inquiry and thinking strategies. So there will be things that are appropriate to you, but also, even if you're a secondary teacher, raise your hand if you have a young child that's important to you in your life, your own child, niece or nephew. Raise your hand if it's just important to you to know what your children are doing before they come to you. I want you to see we work really hard in early childhood education and elementary to try to build a foundation for you so you can do all these cool things that you're going to explore in these classrooms. So I would love for you to come visit us, even though our session is a little bit different than the other ages. So thank you so much for letting me be a part.
Thank you, Ms. Bemis. Now I have the honor to introduce Mr. Tyler Rico. Mr. Tyler is a transitional retiree with the Western Kentucky University School of Teacher Education and is using his retirement to pursue several different interests. He currently co-directs the National STEM Scholars Program and is the project leader for the STEM Scholars Program launch of a middle grade STEM experiment on a Blue Origin mission. Mr. Tyler is also a 38-year veteran teacher with the Kentucky Governor's Scholar Program. His latest project is developing a video library of teaching ideas for each NGSS performance standard.
Turn it on. I don't just have a pocket full of stuff. Good morning. Good morning. That's better, isn't it? Hope and opportunity. That's what it says right here. Now, I want to call out Terry, and I want to call out Dale. They never told me that I'm supposed to speak on hope and opportunity. There we go. There we go. They didn't warn me about that. When I think of, take this off. Pretty cool. It does. It feels kind of like I'm being a rebel. Maybe I am. Take the mask off. When I usually make it, I am pretending to be retired. And being a pretending to be retired person, I have standards. Okay? When you call me to do a presentation, you're supposed to call me to do something that requires a purchase order from Harbor Freight, some handouts, and a real deep dedication to the 3 rules of professional development. Okay? You don't call me out to do hope and opportunity. In fact, today is the very first day that I have been in a class, in a room, a big room full of teachers since February the 29th, 2020. I know the date exactly. I look on my calendar. On that day, I was part of a group of faculty at Western, and we were running the bridge building contest. Kayla, do you remember that? That was the last time that I was unmasked in a large group of people who really didn't care about 6 feet and all that other stuff. And when I left on that Saturday morning from Western, I thought I was hopeful that I knew about all the opportunities that were going to come my way next year. I'm working hard to be retired. In fact, I left that meeting with 5 tickets in my pocket, literally 5 tickets. I was going to go to 5 different countries on 5 different flights in 3 different continents. I had it all planned out. 2 weeks from when I left that meeting on February the 29th, I was supposed to be in Boston. I had a great year, my very first full year of retirement. 2 weeks later, that all changed. And all those imagined opportunities, all those imagined hopeful things, they all just faded away. It's 14 months later. And it's plain to see that the source of hope and the source of opportunity are not exactly what I thought they would be. Not for you, not for me, not for any of us. The first time I actually got a chance after that February the 29th to be back with my students was that summer when I came back to the Governor's Scholar Program. And very quickly you get to realize that for a teacher, and we are all teachers in this room, hope comes for us from our students. That's where we get our hope from. If you don't get hope from your students, you're not a teacher. Oh, that's where I was supposed to go all the time. They may be masked. They may be appearing in a little tiny screen. They may be virtual and online, but our sense of hope comes from our efforts to work with them. And those kids, masked or unmasked, will show you that they're expecting hope from you. You're the one that's going to make it happen. If there has never been a stronger proof of the importance of teachers than the last 14 months. If they have hope during this period of time, it's because you gave it to them. Simply you, nobody else. Because you, the people in this room, you're the STEM teachers. You're the ones that make the magic happen. You're the ones that are the storytellers. You are the ones that are the organizers. You are the ones that make everything else happen. It's just you. And once again, whether it's from 6 feet away or 12 feet away, whether it's where you're wearing a mask, you're the ones that are going to do that. And opportunity comes from the other people that you share this profession with. The people, look to your left and look to your right now. That's where your opportunity is coming from. It's not coming from me. It's coming from those other people that share that same sense of creating hope in your students. In the last 14 months, what we've been doing is doing that. We've been trying in all the various little ways that we can to provide that opportunity for the students that are under our care. And because of that, because of these 14 months, we have been able to provide opportunities. You may not be thinking that way, but the things that you have done, how many of you right now could share with somebody something that you didn't think you were ever going to do, but you've done because of your students in the last 14 months? Raise your hand. Please raise your hand. Hopefully you've done something. You've done either something that was different from the way you did it, or you did something you never thought you would do in the way that you do it. I'll share something for myself. Oh, they're my students. You can tell I really have hard as well as I should. I'm an astronomy teacher by profession, and I have to take my students out at night. I have to be with them. I have to do things with them, and I can't do that anymore. I'm specifically forbidden to do that. I couldn't do that with my Governor's Scholar students. I couldn't do that with my Western students, because if we are doing a star party, we're out at night. We're all together and sharing telescopes and doing all those terrible things. And I had no idea what I was going to do about that. And I figured out a way. I do my star parties now by group chat. It's the stupidest idea I've ever heard of, but I made it work. I put my Zoom camera on my telescope. My kids, who are literally 3 states away, can be just as close to me as if they're in my backyard eating cookies at the life day for my students, which is the way I'm supposed to do it. I provided that opportunity. And we've all been doing the same thing. And we're here today because what we really want to do is we want to share, we want to find out what other people, see those people standing in the back right now? They're all nervously waiting to have their chance to share with you some of the opportunities they have made for their students. You're here to hear those opportunities they've created, and you're also here, if you haven't thought about it, because the person at the table next to you or somebody in the back of the room has opportunities that they've created for their students, and you want to hear them, and they want to hear from you. This is what I'd like for you to do right now. I'd like you to turn and find somebody else in this building, another teacher, find another person masked just like you are, and tell them something you have done in the last 14 months that is new, that's done differently than what you did before, because you were trying to provide an opportunity for your kids. Now, that whatever you did may have been dramatically successful. It might have been comically terrible, and it doesn't really matter. There's a lesson to be learned by whichever way that it went. For those of you that are joining in on Zoom, since you can't obviously be a part of what's going on here, what I'd like for you to do is to get on the chat box, if y'all know what the chat box is, and share that with the other people that can't be with us today. I want you to do that right now. I want you to take 5 minutes, share that story, that experience with someone next to you. That's not a rhetorical question. I'm a professor. I can make you do anything. All right, I'm hearing nice production sound. For those of you that are Skype graduates, what you're carrying out is the exploratory part of the talk. Now, let me tell you what I'd like for you to do. I want to shut up and take off my mask so that I can have you talk. I'd like somebody here, if you're with us here on Zoom, if you will say so on the chat, we'll get somebody to turn on the mic for you. But I'd like Dale, where's Dale? Dale's got a mic, and Dale is here to threaten you with something. If you've heard a story from somebody else that you'd like to share, and I don't want you to share your story. You will never tell your story correctly. We want somebody else to tell your story. I want somebody here to share the story that they've just heard. Dale's already picking somebody else. Who's willing to share the story that they have heard, that somebody else told them, something that they've done in the last 14 months? Ah.
Hello. So the story that was shared with me, I can sympathize with. It was just about the initial struggle with getting through to students who are at home, like say on like a live meeting where you're teaching them something, and just trying to engage them and get their control and focus through a lesson where in the classroom you may have total control of the situation, or at least you feel like you do. And then on the video chat, you know, they may be in an environment that's got them totally distracted and just working with the students to try and get them like in the school mode while at home on virtual work. Just the struggles with that.
Who else? Who else has a story? All right.
My colleague here, Goodman, she has worked really hard this year to facilitate our district-wide, regional, and governor's cup, all the quick recall, all virtually, and it went as seamless as it could go. There were a few things here and there that came up, but it was amazing how they were able to continue that activity even from home, so.
Provided that opportunity. Well, I don't know if you have anybody on Zoom that wants to share or. My goal is 3. Oh, we have that.
I've made over years, kind of like we all, just trying to become teachers again, right? And become students as well. So just learning how to take her environment and create it into a virtual practice. Right? And then, we start something learning new as teachers, something down, some students explore what links and stuff like that be successful on radio conference stuff. So she become a teacher and plus she learn new students.
Anyone else? In my learned opinion, I think that being a STEM teacher is the best job in the world. Hands down, absolutely, positively, with no exception. It's not because it's an easy job, because it's not. It's not because it's a well-paying job. Oh, it's not too bad. I got plenty of debt. I must be making money. It's a great job because of the people that you work with and because of the chance of the things you get to do with your students. It's an opportunity to teach. And to be a STEM teacher is an even better opportunity. But what applies to your students also applies to yourself. You're not just here because you stumbled in here. Not here to be correct, but here is in the profession. You're here because of the opportunities that were provided for you. I know very few teachers of any skill at all that have not somewhere in their past been motivated, been sparked, and that in itself is an opportunity by somebody else, usually another teacher, and almost always someone that you can actually name. I can name the person who, and I didn't know it at the time, put me on the path to be a science teacher. His name is Doug Jenkins. I can tell you his name. How many of you know Doug Jenkins? Doug Jenkins is right now the best teacher in the world. Absolutely, positively, I have no doubt about that. If I'm half as good as he is on my best day, I'm twice as good as I've ever been. And I want to make sure that he knows that. And he has been retired for quite a number of years, but I still call him up and I still ask him for advice. That's true. How many of you have that person, or maybe more than one person in your life? Someone you can point to, someone that you can say, this is a person that has led me to where I am right now, listening to Rico here at Greg. You need to share that. That should never stay with you. We all get very little recognition of what we do. For every student that tells us something good about us, we know there are others that just haven't thought about doing that. And if you haven't shared that information, then you're in that category. And so just like a moment ago, I asked you to share something about what's happened to you in the last 14 months, I'd like you to share that name with somebody else in this room. Who is that person? I've told you who my person is. It's Doug Jenkins, the best physics teacher in the world. I want you to do the same thing here. Mention that. If you're listening to me on Zoom, put that into the chat. Let the other people that are there on the screen see and hear you, or listen, at least read about that person. And I'd like you to do that same thing right now. Turn to that person you were talking to a moment ago and tell them who that name is. Who is that person, or who are those people, and why they are part of why you're here right now? Go ahead and do that. You need to do that. Okay. right, Dale tells me I've got to rush you along. I blame Dale for everything. I'm retired, it's like, yeah, Dale's gonna bring up the mic. We're looking for people, we're looking for names. Who can share a name, a person, a job, someone that lets you be here? Way in the back.
Chase Golf, he was my principal for 2 years. Most inspiring principal I've ever had, and he helped me get successful with Project Lead the Way, which changed my life. So he was only with us 2 years, but he changed my life.
Sheeta was my algebra teacher in high school, and I walked in the first day and she told me to take my calculator and put it away, and she never wanted to see it again. And she actually told me, she said, you need to sit where your dad sat, in her class. And so I remember very vividly, I told her, I was like, I can't do this algebra, I can't do it at all, I'll never pass. And she told me, she put her grade book in front of me and said, you see all these extra credit points? And she erased them. She said, and so you can talk to yourself better in my class about these topics. You're not gonna have extra credit, you can earn it back.
Who else? Got someone up here in front.
My freshman science teacher, and I do not know her name, because I'm out of thing, but, she loved science, and she was the first female that I ever met that loved science and didn't apologize for it and would work out, and so it kind of gave me permission to publicly do the doors that I'd always secretly done. It's nice to see somebody listening.
And that person was so good, it led you to being in the front of the room and not in the back. I've noticed that, I'm a professional. Who else? Who wants to share the name? You got one right here. I know Dale's telling me I'm running out of time, but I've got the mic. Let's do this one more and then we'll finish.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
absolutely,
okay.
absolutely.
Howard White, in our high school, I went to Evanston County High School, and it's very small. And he actually taught chemistry and U.S. history, which is kind of odd. He was very engaging, and you could tell he was very passionate and loved teaching and loved the students. And I mean, you just couldn't go in his class and have a bad day. Like, he was just so positive and so funny and just really engaged the students.
I knew Howard White. And I knew Howard White because he was an academic team coach and I was an academic team coach. And so we always had a very sparky relationship. And we loved each other, we did, but when it came to academic teams, yeah, I knew his kids would die for him to win. Absolutely, positively. Before we go, and time's running, we have many other things to do, more important than me. I want to bring up one last little thing. I want you to think for just a moment about the person that you talked about, the person that you described, the person that's in your life. If they knew you were here today, speaking about someone, would they know that they would have been the one picked? If you can't say yes to that, then you have a job to do. As a professional, as a teacher, you have a job to do. You need to make sure that this week doesn't end without making sure that you've spoken to that person. You can send them a text. You can send them an email. You can give them a call and just say, hi, I just want to chat with you for a moment. You need to do that because they need that pat on the back, just like we all need those pats on the back. And we don't get them very often, but within your power, they say within your gift, to be that one person. And I can't make you do it. I can't see if you do. And for some of you, that person may not even be alive now. But you're thinking about them today, and that's the best you can do. But if that person is still around, I want to encourage you to take a moment, take 2 or 3 moments, and make sure that person knows that you thought about it today at our science day. And on that note, I believe, Dale, you've got other things for us to do.
We do, we have a jam-packed day. Thank you, Rico Tyler. Let's give him a round of applause, please. Always a treat, Mr. Tyler, with us. We're going to begin our transition at this time, so please stay seated and patient while we do that. We're going to be putting up the dividers in the room, and then we'll begin our first session. And while that's taking place and you're seated, Miss Allison Venus is going to share a little bit about the mural that's out here.
Absolutely, and that was wonderful, Rico. You're one of the first